A little bit late to the party now, but this was something that I wanted to talk about, but I just couldn't because I was in the house doing isolation. But basically, Janey Godley, a known Scottish comedian who is a little bit spicy. You may have seen her from the COVID adverts that have been sanctioned by the Scottish Government featuring her. Well, she has currently going through her own cancellation right now, basically due over comments and things that she said in the past, including saying things like "packy" and stuff like that as well. But basically, she is currently getting cancelled over it. And the thing that is most interesting about this right now, we all know the way that the Scottish Government and the SNP act about racism and stuff like that. You know, they come down hard. They will send you to jail over a tweet that you made. You know, that's just what they do. However, as soon as it's one of their own, their tune changes. Racism now, row. Nicola Sturgeon says, these things happen after Janey Godley racist tweets. Nicola Sturgeon was today accused of casually dismissing racist tweets for saying that these things happen when she was quizzed on Janey Godley's social media posts. So whenever it's anyone else, if it was anyone in the especially if it was anyone in the Tory party or anyone that the SNP does not like the SNP won't just completely lambast you, annihilate you, call you out on Twitter, nuke you from orbit with an orbital ion cannon. Like they will come after you hard. But as soon as it's someone associated with their own party, these things just happen. And there was one person who I expected to go nuclear on this, right? Our own Hamza Yusuf, or Adolf Hamza, as we all like to call him. Even though the party line seems to be like, oh, Janey, it's fine, these things happen. I expected Hamza, of all people, to go, no, fuck that. Fuck that racist bitch. And just for him to do his usual, Hamza is one of the few people that I've seen who gets excited when he finds racism, right? I was expecting him to just go absolutely mental about it. But nope, he is towing the party line. He's towing the party line. And I did expect him to go, no, we're not letting him get away with that. I am going to hold on to my principles as Scotland's biggest anti-racist. And I was expecting him to go all in on her, but nope, he didn't. He didn't. He towed the party line. So I guess his overall message only matters as long as it does not damage his party's reputation. The First Minister was questioned after her government dropped the SNP backing comedian from a TV COVID campaign after a stream of past tweets about black people were found. God, I can't believe all these comedians that have said offensive things in the past. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Nicola Sturgeon was accused of casually dismissing racism, and there she is there in one of the, COVID adverts. They're quite cringe. Although any advert that, so here's a message from your government, you can bet money on it being embarrassing. The Scottish Tories said that it was jaw-dropping to hear a First Minister of Scotland dismiss racist tweets so casually. And I completely understand that. Whenever a Tory even says something that could possibly, maybe a tiny bit, be interpreted as racist, or the SNP will parade that around and rub it in their face for fucking weeks, months, sometimes. But when it's one of their own, In a BBC Scotland interview, Miss Sturgeon initially did not condemn the remarks and praised Miss Godley for being straightforward and dignified in her apology. But when pushed on the issue by Beeb presenter Martin Geisler, Miss Sturgeon described Miss Godley's posts as completely beyond the pale. Some of them were pretty damn spicy. At the start of the interview, Mr. Geisler asked her, "You must be furious your government didn't do due diligence on Janey Godley." A whole raft of comments which she herself has described as horrifically despicable. It came to light on her Twitter feed. They were just sitting there and you made her the face of the government campaign and paid her £12,000 for the job. It's not a great look, is it? Miss Sturgeon replied, "Look, these things happen. Sometimes you just hire a racist and, it's Like, you own a shop and you hire a guy to manage the register, and he seems like a good guy, but then it turns out he's an atom weapon. These things happen. Fucking hell. Well, everybody knows how my feelings on it. She should not be cancelled. She's a comedian. She's a known comedian. She's a very well known comedian in Scotland. And like her or loathe her, or I didn't find the comments funny. I thought she was a comedian. That's supposed to be funny. Sharp, right? It doesn't matter. What matters is the intent behind the statements. And I've heard some of the podcasts and stuff like that she's done, and she's blatantly, clearly trying to be outrageous because when you're a comedian, you kind of need to do that to get noticed a little bit. Now, well, sorry, that used to be the way. Now it's a case of you need to be bland, dull, non-offensive. Only shit on the right wing, never ever shit on the left wing. Never ever do that. That's career suicide now. So many things basically that you're just not allowed to do anymore, and then you just have to sort of hope and pray that an agent notices you, or you could just put on your own shows like me. So much better. Still tickets available in London, by the way. One of the nights is sold out, but there's still tickets available in London. Just saying. And the important thing is that action is taken. The most important thing to me from the start of this pandemic has been the integrity of our public health message, and that has involved difficult decisions for me over the course of the past 18 months, and that is the priority that we have attached to this particular incident. And all that, it's just such a politician answer. Janey has apologised. I think she's been, pretty straightforward and dignified in her apology. She's a comedian. She said herself she thought that gave her licence to say things that she now accepts were completely out of order and unacceptable. I'm also a comedian, Sturgeon. And yet you had the CPS properly come after me. You even had the CPS halfway through my trial try to upgrade my charge to something where instead of the maximum sentence being 1 year, I could have got 5 years in prison. Your CPS did that. That's what your CPS did. But all of a sudden, and also you got them to throw out my I'm a comedian making a joke thing. You got that thrown out of my trial that got me a criminal record. But as soon as it's one of your own, as soon as it's someone associated with your own party who's a supporter, oh, she's a comedian, fuck you. Fuck you, you hypocritical bastards. You fucking... Everybody knows the SNP are hypocrites. Right? I don't even know why I'm focusing on that point. Like, they don't even hide it. They embrace it, in fact. It's been pointed out enough times, right, where it's an established fact that they are hypocrites. They just don't care. They just don't care. So I don't know why I'm focusing on that point so much. So, that's the situation. In terms of the payment, market rates were paid there, and as I understand it, I saw this on social media last night, so she has decided to donate her fee for the advert to charity. Fuck that, I'd kept it. Fuck you. Like, I'll admit, when the Scottish Government were trying to steal my money from me, I donated the money to Glasgow Children's Hospital. But if the Scottish Government had paid me money for work that I did, I'd have been like, fuck off, you're not getting your money. Bolt. So, the important thing for me, given that we're still in this pandemic, is to make sure that our public health messages are heard loudly and clearly. The Scottish Government initially refused to axe Miss Godley this week after tweets with language mocking disabled people and victims of the Chernobyl disaster came to light. Right, come on. Chernobyl was what, 86? Chernobyl was in 86. I think it's been enough time. Right? Well over 30 years. Like, it's been enough time. The government even sent out a Stop the Spike campaign material featuring Miss Godley on Wednesday evening after the initial storm, and only U-turned after the tweets about black celebrities came to light. So they defended her, they supported her and everything at first, but obviously the things that she said were too spicy. I mean, it would be nice if the government decided to do that in many other situations. It would be very nice if they did that. Miss Sturgeon has repeatedly praised Miss Godley and referred to her as her alter ego. Oh my. Last year, after plugging her spoof voiceovers of the First Minister's COVID briefings. After Miss Sturgeon These Things Happen response, BBC host Mr. Geisler asked her, with your hand on your heart, First Minister, can you say you'd be as forgiving with somebody who was an opponent of yours rather than a vocal supporter? Oh, Geisler! Geisler, get in. Get in. Get in there. Miss Sturgeon replied, well, look, that might be a legitimate line of questioning if we had decided not to drop the advert, but you defended it at first. I get a lot of abuse on social media. I know that when people make mistakes, the climate that we live in, the culture we live in these days, is pretty unforgiving. And therefore, I'm a great believer that when people make mistakes, and I apply this to myself as well, it's really important to hold your hands up to it and apologise where that is required, but perhaps we should all recognise that none of us are infallible. I've got a criminal record because of you, you fucking bitch. Like, fuck you. Fuck you. Jesus. Now that the tweets were brought to my attention yesterday were completely unacceptable, completely beyond the pale. I would not in any way, shape or form seek to defend them. Nobody's asking you to defend them, right? If you defend, Jane Godley's right to freedom of speech, which she has, she should not be criminally punished in any way for any of the things that she said. She has the right to freedom of speech. Nobody's asking you to defend the tweets, right? It doesn't mean, I don't understand this. Yes, because we got this person to do an advert for us, that obviously means we flat out absolutely endorse every single thing that this person believes. I don't think that. I don't think that. If I see Nish Kumar, even though he's an absolute fanny, right? If I see Nish Kumar on the BBC, I don't go, yes, the BBC 100% absolutely agree with every single belief that Nish Kumar has. I don't think that. I don't think about that when I see it in everything. Whenever I see people on TV or sponsoring a certain product or whatever. Like, I don't believe that, so I don't understand, this person made a tweet 10 years ago, we better get rid of them. Right? I don't understand people getting their sponsorships dropped over something like that. Jared Fogle, understand. Yes. Yeah, Subway dropping Jared. Yeah, I get that. I get that one. Now, the tweets that were brought to my attention yesterday were completely. Oh fuck! I've just read that part. Mr. Geisler asked the First Minister, "Would you imagine we'll be seeing her in a government health or a government campaign again?" She replied, "No, there's no plans for that at the moment. No." Responding to the interview, Scottish Conservative MSP Russell Finlay said it's jaw-dropping to hear a First Minister of Scotland dismiss racist tweets so casually. And basically, the Tories, because you guys do this shit to them all the time, you can bet that they're going to do it to you. You would expect Nicola Sturgeon to be appalled by this kind of language, but when asked about it, her flippant response was, these things happen. It's starting to look like nationalist and SNP supporters get special treatment from this government. Yes. Yes, they fucking do. If you're in the party, you do get special preferential treatment. This contract should never have been awarded in the first place, and the First Minister should be a lot more contrite now that these shameful tweets have emerged. There is a dark side to nationalism. It's not nationalism. The SNP are not nationalists. Stop saying they are. That means people, apparently including the First Minister, judging by this appearance, will make excuses for wrongdoing. The SNP should be apologising for wasting public money and choosing someone so inappropriate to front up a public health campaign. And adverts. And it is true. It is true. Like, the SNP will help you out, as it were, if you've been caught up in this. And this is the thing that makes them so hypocritical. I know it's a pointless thing to go about because they know they are, they don't care they are, they don't even try to hide it. If this was anyone else, especially, see if this happened to the Tory party. If this happened to the Tory party, the SNP, they would book the front page of every newspaper that would let them. They would have this everywhere. They would harp on about it for weeks. They would be rattling every single Tory MSP about it every time he stood up to speak in Holyrood. Right? They would be ramming it down their throats. They would be annihilating everybody with this. But as soon as it is one of their own, not even Hamza Yusuf will pipe up about it. As soon as it is one of their own, not even Hamza Yusuf. Hamza Yusuf, who... every morning when he pours his milk into his cornflakes, he gets angry because it's white, right? This is the only guy that will look at a Greg's sausage roll and try to figure out a way how that is somehow racist towards him, right? Even he didn't pipe up, right? And that just goes to show you, you know, if you're in the SNP, you're fine. If you're outside the SNP, you're fucked, right? Just absolute hypocrisy. But then again, it's not really news when it comes to the SNP.